All right, I'm breaking my rule about how I'm going to read you Tale of Two Cities. I may change my mind, but right now, I just made a video. I'm making another one. Mr. Laurie from the bank, from Tellson's Bank, has come to the Royal George Hotel and has met Miss Manette, who he once carried across the channel on a very wet winter day, and he has something to tell her. We'll pick up from there. Rendered it necessary that I should go to Paris to communicate with a gentleman of the bank, so good as to be dispatched to Paris for the purpose. Myself. As I was prepared to hear, sir. She curtsied to him. Young ladies made curtsies in those days, with a pretty desire to convey to him that she felt how much older and wiser he was than she. He made another bow. I replied to the bank, sir, that it was considered necessary by those who know, and who are so kind as to advise me that I should go to France, and that I am an orphan and have no friends who could go with me. I should esteem it highly if I might be permitted to place myself, during the journey, under that worthy gentleman's protection. The gentleman had left London, but I think a messenger was sent after him, to beg the favour of his waiting for me here. I was happy, said Mr. Lorry, to be entrusted with the charge. I shall be more happy to execute it. Sir, I thank you indeed. I thank you very gratefully. It was told me by the bank that the gentleman would explain to me the details of the business, and that I must prepare myself to find them of a surprising nature. I have done my best to prepare myself, and I naturally have a strong and eager interest to know what they are. Naturally, said Mr. Lorry. Yes, I... After a pause, he added again, settling the crisp flaxen wig at the ears. It is very difficult to begin. He did not begin, but in his indecision met her glance. The young forehead lifted itself into that singular expression, but it was pretty and characteristic, besides being singular, and she raised her hand, as if, with the involuntary action she caught at, or stayed some passing shadow. Are you quite a stranger to me, sir? Am I not? Mr. Lorry opened his hands and extended them outwards with an argumentative smile. Between the eyebrows, and just over the little feminine nose, the line of which was as delicate and fine as it was possible to be, the expression deepened itself as she took her seat thoughtfully in the chair by which she had hitherto remained standing, he watching her as she mused, and, the moment she raised her eyes again, went on. In your In your adopted country, I presume I cannot do better than address you as a young English lady, Miss Manette. If you please, sir, Miss Manette, I am a man of business. I have a business charge to acquit myself of. In your reception of it, don't heed me any more than if I was a speaking machine. Truly, I am not much else. I will, with your leave, I will, with your leave, relate to you, miss, the story of one of our customers. Story? He seemed wilfully to mistake the word she had repeated when he added in a hurry, Yes, customers. In the banking business, we usually call our connection our customers. He was a French gentleman, a scientific gentleman, a man of great acquirements, a doctor. Not Bouvet's. Why, yes, of... Not of Bouvet's. Why, yes, of Bouvet's. Like, Monsieur Manette, your father, the gentleman was of Bouvet's. Like Monsieur Manette, your father, the gentleman was of repute in Paris. I had the honor of knowing him there. Our relations were business relations, but confidential. I was at that time in our French house, and had been, 20 years. At that time? May I ask at what time, sir? I speak, miss, of 20 years ago. He married an English lady, and I was one of the trustees. His affairs, like the affairs of many other French gentlemen and French families, were entirely in Tellson's hands. In a similar way, I am, or I have been, trustee of one kind or another of scores of our customers. These are mere business relations, miss. There is no friendship in them, no particular interest, nothing like sentiment. I have passed from one to another in the course of my business life, just as I pass from one of our customers to another in the course of my business day. In short, I have no feelings. I am a mere machine. To go on. But this is my father's story, sir, and I begin to think, the curiosity-roughened forehead was very intent upon him, that when I was left an orphan, through my mother's surviving my father only 2 years, it was you who brought me to England. I am almost sure it was you. Mr. Lorry took the hesitating little hand that confidently advanced to take his, and he put it, with some ceremony, to his lips. He then conducted the young lady straight away to her chair again, and holding the chair back with his left hand, and using his right by turns to rub his chin, pull his wig at the ears, or point what he said, stood looking down into her face, while she sat looking up at him. Miss Manette, it was I, and you will see how truly I spoke of myself just now in saying I had no feelings, and that all the relations I hold with my fellow creations are mere business relations, when you reflect that I have never seen you since. No, you have been the ward of Tellson's house since, and I have been busy with the other business of Tellson's house since. Feelings! I have no time for them, no chance of them. I pass my whole life, miss, in turning an immense pecuniary mangle. After this odd description of his daily routine of employment, Mr. Lorry flattened his flaxen wig upon his head with both hands, which was most unnecessary, for nothing could be flatter than its shining surface was before, and resumed his former attitude. So far, miss, as you have remarked, this is the story of your regretted father. Now comes the difference. If your father had not died when he did— Don't be frightened! How you start! She did indeed start, and she caught his wrist with both hands. Pray, said Mr. Lorry in a soothing tone, bringing his left hand from the back of the chair to lay it on the supplicatory fingers that clasped him in so violent a tremble. Pray, control your agitation. A matter of business, as I was saying. Her look so discomposed him that he stopped, wandered, and began anew. As I was saying, if Monsieur Manette had not died, if he had suddenly and silently disappeared, if he had been spirited away, if it had not been difficult to guess to what dreadful place, though no art could trace him, if he had an enemy in some compatriot who could exercise a privilege that I, in my own time, have known the boldest people afraid to ask in a whisper across the water for the instance. Sorry, I lost my place. For instance, the privilege of filling up blank forms for the consignment of any one to oblivion of a person for any length of time, if his wife had implored the king, the queen, the court, the clergy for any tidings of him, and all quite in vain, then the history of your father would have been the history of this unfortunate gentleman, the doctor of Beauvais. I entreat you to tell me more, sir. I will. I am going to. Can you bear it? I can bear anything but the uncertainty you leave me in at this moment. You speak collectedly, and you are collected. That's good, though his manner was less satisfied than his words. A matter of business. Regard it as a matter of business. Business that must be done. Now, if this doctor's wife, a lady of great courage and spirit, had suffered so intensely from this cause before her little child was born— The little child was a daughter, sir. A daughter. A matter of business. Don't be distressed, miss. If the poor lady had suffered so intensely before her little child was born that she came to the determination of sparing the poor child the inheritance of any part of the agony she had known the pains of by rearing her in the belief that her father was dead. No, don't kneel. In heaven's name, why should you kneel to me? For the truth. Oh, dear, good, compassionate sir, for the truth. A matter of business. You confuse me, and how can I transact business if I am confused? Let us be clear-headed. If you could kindly mention now, for instance, what 9 times 9 pence are, or how many shillings and 20 guineas, it would be so encouraging. I should be so much more at ease about your state of mind. Without directly answering to this appeal, she sat so still when he had very gently raised her, and the hands that had not ceased to clasp his wrist were so much more steady than they had been, that she communicated some reassurance to Mr. Jarvis Lorry. That's right, that's right. Courage, business. You have business before you. Useful business, Miss Manette. Your mother took this course with you, and when she died, I believe, broken-hearted, having never slackened her unavailing search for your father, she left you at 2 years old to grow to be a blooming, beautiful, and happy, without a dark cloud upon you of living in uncertainty whether your father soon wore his heart out in prison or wasted there through many lingering years. As he said the words, he looked down with an admiring pity on the flowing golden hair, as if he pictured to himself that it might have been already tinged with grey. You know that your parents had no great possession, and what they had was secured to your mother and to you. There has been no new discovery of money or of any other property, but he felt his wrist held closer, and he stopped. The expression in the forehead, which had so particularly attracted his notice, and which was now immovable, had deepened into one of pain and horror. But he has been found. He is alive. Greatly changed, it is too probable. Almost a wreck, it is possible, though we will hope the best. Still alive. Your father has been taken to the house of an old servant in Paris, and we are going there. I to identify him if I can, you to restore him to life, love, duty, rest, comfort. A shiver ran through her frame, and from it through his she said, in a low, distinct, awe-stricken voice, as if she were saying it in a dream, I am going to see his ghost. It will be his ghost, not him. Mr. Lorry quietly chafed the hands that held his arm. There. See now, the best and the worst are known to you now. You are well on your way to the poor wrong gentleman, and, with a fair sea voyage and a fair land journey, you will soon be at his dear side. She repeated, in the same tone, sunk to a whisper, I have been free, I have been happy, yet his ghost has never haunted me. And there we will pause.